Welcome to the Instagram Stories Podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Hill. If this is your first time listening, welcome. Here's how this show works. Normally, I sit down with experts who really know a lot about social media marketing, the creator economy, or other social media topics that I think are important for you to know. And I get them to come on the show and in about 20 minutes or so, spill all their secrets. The strategies and tactics they only tell their friends, I get them to reveal it on this show. You get to listen for free, and you think, hey, Daniel knows a lot of smart people. That's awesome. Daniel's probably a guy I should know. Today's show is a little bit different, but before we get into that, I want to give you a sample of another podcast that I have. 3 times a week, I record audio talking about the latest Instagram, TikTok, and other social media news that you need to know about. For instance, Instagram recently rolled out a new feature where you can test your reel to see how it will perform. For 24 hours, you can have your reel be up, not be seen by any of your followers, but Instagram will only show it to people who don't follow you. Here's the head of Instagram talking about this new Reels trial feature and how it all works.
It would be cool if you could see how a reel is going to do before you actually post it on Instagram. That's the idea behind a new feature we're launching this week around trial reels. So we've been working on this really closely with creators for almost a year now to try and figure out ways to depressurize the experience of sharing reels on Instagram. And the way this works is you're going to be able to share a reel and mark it as a trial, and then it won't show up on your profile or on your reels tab or even for anybody who follows you. Instead, we will show it just to some people who do not follow you, and you can see how it's doing. I'd recommend you look at how many likes and sends it's getting per reach. Look at that ratio. And then you can decide after a day or two if you actually want to commit to sharing it with everybody who follows you and having it show up on your profile. Hopefully making the experience of sharing reels a little bit less pressurized and a little bit more fun. Try it out if you get a chance and let me know down below in the comments what you think.
In case you're not familiar, how Instagram normally works is that when you post a reel or another piece of content, Instagram shows it to people who already follow you, who are likely to enjoy that content. If they don't respond, or they don't like it that much, or they don't spend time looking at it, Instagram won't show it to any more people. They're really focused on those core people who follow you already, who love your content. If they like it, then they start showing it to a wider group of your followers, and so on and so on. However, this completely flips the model on its head. So now you have an opportunity to get in front of people who don't follow you at all for that first time view of your content for them. And it's an opportunity to really grow and expand your following. And hey, if nobody responds, nobody likes it, no harm, no foul. Just take the content down, tweak it, change it however you need to, and post it back up and try again. I absolutely love this. Okay, so with all that context, go check out my show, The Instagram Stories, wherever you get podcasts. It's focused on social media news, and you are definitely going to benefit from it. Okay, let's get into today's episode. This is a slow time of year historically for social media news. A lot of people are spending time with their families, not working, and they should be. That's really the point, is that we all can kind of take a break, unplug a little bit, and relax. But I still want to create content during this time because I think that many people are still looking to consume things. And also, it's a really good chance to not only look back at the past 12 months, what we did, what was big in the news, and what will happen in 2025. Now, there's another person named Jen Lehner who actually got me started on this podcasting journey in a lot of ways. Jen has a daily flash briefing on Amazon Echo devices and also OK Google or Google Assistant. And she covers the social media news in a very quick amount of time. It's called the Front Row Entrepreneur Flash Briefing. I will link to it in the show notes. But because Jen is so clued into social media news, I wanted to talk with her not only about what she saw in 2024 that she liked, that she thought was important to remember and kind of think about, but also what trends she saw being important in 2025. Without any more delay, here's me and Jen talking about what we saw in 2024 and what to look forward to in 2025. Today on the show, we have Jen Lehner. Jen, welcome.
Thanks, Daniel. It's great to be here.
Jen, for people who might not know who you are, can you tell us who you are and what it is you do?
Yes. My name is Jen Lehner. I'm a digital marketing and systems strategist. And basically, I help people grow their businesses by using smart digital strategies and finding great teams offshore.
If you are not familiar, you may listen to Jen's daily flash briefing. It's called The Front Row, and she covers social media news, tech news, all the things you need to know in usually about 2 to 3 minutes per day. You might listen to Jen's show and then you listen to mine, the Instagram stories. And believe it or not, Jen is actually the one who helped me get started with my show, pushed me to do it. I'm very grateful that she did. Jen is incredibly knowledgeable. So I'm excited that we're going to get into our year-end recap here. I know we have a lot of points to get into, but first, let's start with over the past 12 months, what has been your favorite either pop culture moment or social media news story of the past year?
Well, I was just, it's not super sexy or exciting, but I was really happy when Australia announced that they were putting an age limit on teenagers or on kids. So I think you have to be at least 16. And I also support the TikTok ban.
Let's talk about the Australia part that you mentioned, because I do think this is very interesting. If I'm not wrong, I think they said Snapchat would be part of that, Instagram would be part of that, but WhatsApp would not be. Is that what it was?
That sounds right. Yes.
I thought that was interesting because WhatsApp has stories and Snapchat has stories. And anyway,
Yeah, that is interesting. I mean, I guess it's developed more into that, but WhatsApp initially was more of just like a text messaging app,
of course, yeah,
which is helpful to people who don't have cell connections, right? Because you could do it over data. I mean, over Wi-Fi. But
right.
now, yeah, it's a full-on social media app now.
And I do think the way we protect teenagers by not letting them drive until they're 17 or not letting them drink alcohol until they're 21, and why their brains are still developing, that makes sense. I do think in the future we'll kind of look back and say, oh, that was smart that we didn't let teenagers use social media until they were X age, right? I think that
Yeah.
that will be something we think about.
I think once that they look at the data from like my kids who are the guinea pigs of all of this, um, and when they start studying the brains and, of these kids, like maybe in another even, I don't know how many years, but probably a long time from now, when they sort of see the whole picture of the damage that the screens and the phones and the social media has done, it will probably be that you can't hold a phone, a phone like that in your hand. It'll be illegal to even have a phone or something until you're 16, 17, or 18. I could be wrong, but that's my wish.
No, I think you're right. I was actually imagining a world where the way smokers have to stand outside and like maybe stand in a little square, you'll see a bunch of people like huddled over their phones outside. Like,
Yeah, that's wild. But I mean, it's true. It's just, I mean, they've done all these studies already on the negative effect of the screens and and how it affects their socialization and all of that stuff. So hopefully that gets better.
I put down for this, I was thinking about the Timothy Chalamet lookalike contest. I'm not sure if you saw that in the news, but if you're not familiar, in New York City, a guy made flyers and had them posted to billboards and walls advertising a Timothy Chalamet lookalike contest. He's a very young actor right now, very popular. And hundreds of people showed up looking like Timothy Chalamet. Even the actor himself showed up. And just the way this guy's name's Anthony Poe, the way he advertised it via flyer instead of using social media in 2024 was just fascinating to me. And I listened to an interview with him, and he explained that he also planned an event over the summer in, I think it was Washington Square Park, where he wore a mask and ate a giant Costco-sized jar of cheese balls, which he advertised the same way via flyer. And again, just that marketing through such a old school method in 2024 just really fascinated me. So I really enjoyed that story, and it spoke to me.
Love that.
Okay, let's move on to your favorite new Instagram feature over the past 12 months. What would you say?
I like the collaborative posts update that allows multiple users to co-author a single post or a reel. I just think, if you do collaborate with people on a regular basis, or even if, like when you just have podcast guests or whatever, I love that. How about you?
The collaboration feature, I just want to mention, it also puts the post in both of your feeds.
Yes.
So both your followers will see it as coming from you. And yes, if you make content with somebody, podcast interview, that's the perfect way to use it. I wrote down the feature that Instagram just announced last week, which is a Reels trial, which is where when you post a Reel, you're basically like sort of soft launching it by having the Reel shown to people who don't follow you first for 24 hours. And then after that time, you can decide to show it to your followers. And it's a really good way to kind of measure, is this content good? Is it going to resonate? Do I want to tweak it? But also, if you want people who don't follow you to see it and find out who you are and potentially follow you, this is a really good way to help that to happen. So if you haven't messed with the Reels trial feature yet, I would definitely recommend it.
I love that. Any more?
I also jotted down about broadcast channels. If you're a person who has an email list and you put together an email with information, links, and you send it out regularly, broadcast channels are a one-way method of communication, just like an email list, but within Instagram. So if you create a channel, you can put links, you can put polls, videos, you can even go live inside a broadcast channel. It's kind of that equivalent of an email list, but inside Instagram. So I've seen people using that in really creative ways. And I think that's a smart play if you're a person who enjoys email lists.
Thanks for that reminder. We're definitely going to make more use of that in 2025. I just really have not taken advantage of that feature.
It's definitely one that's worth experimenting with for sure. So, Jen, can you talk about your favorite new tech that you've seen either announced or you've had an opportunity to use over the past 12 months?
Yeah, I didn't have to think about this one for longer than a second because the the absolute game changer for me in tech this year were my new my new Ray-Ban smart glasses. They run on Meta and they've got Meta AI in them and they do everything. So I have the transitional ones that turn into sunglasses. And I also have a prescription in them. They're set up as progressives. So I don't have to take my reading glasses on and off all day. And they replace my earbuds, which hurt my ears after a while. So I love that. And I don't have to worry about losing them. And I listen through my glasses. But what's remarkable is that anybody sitting around me can't hear what is playing or what is being said. And so I can just literally say to my phone, call Jake. Say to my glasses, call Jake. My glasses will call my son and we'll have a conversation while hands free through my glasses. Also, the AI allows me to use it in a way like I can look at a sign in a train station in Japan and ask it to translate what I'm looking at or to tell me more about the artist of the painting that I'm looking at. It takes stealth, video and photos without people knowing, which came in really handy in LA when I was trying to take pictures of superstars without looking like a goofy tourist. I mean, they tell you that there's a little white light that goes on when you're recording. So if you were having a conversation with someone right in front of you, they would see that you were recording and taking a picture. And I certainly don't use it for those purposes. But when I'm riding my bike and I want to take video hands free, I love it because I can just say, "Hey Meta, take video," and then it begins to record video, and the quality is actually pretty good. So I just can't say enough about these Ray-Ban smart glasses.
I love that. One of the things that I was curious about was sort of that switch between glasses and sunglasses and how you do that. So it's nice that you have transitions where you can, when you go outside, right now, suddenly they're sunglasses. I
Yes.
also really like them for concerts. That sounds like it would be a great use because I see people holding up their phones and sometimes I want to say, put down your phone so I can see what's going on a little bit better.
Right.
But just to be immersive in that moment, if you have a clear unobstructed view without holding up your phone to be able to record that moment. I love that idea.
Yes.
I put down that I am really excited by the new Orion glasses that Mark Zuckerberg announced recently, sort of an evolution of those Meta glasses where now they're AR glasses, similar in size and structure to what you're wearing, but it displays panels. So you can kind of do hands-free multitasking. You can control it with your eyes, your hands. There's a little wristband for you to wear. The glasses are thick and it's only a dev kit. It's not available to buy yet, but it really shows kind of where this tech is going. And that's something I'm really excited to get more involved in because right now I spend all my day sitting at a desk, staring at a screen, but the ability to be able to walk around and kind of still stay connected and see what's going on without looking at my phone all the time. That's something I'm really excited about and looking forward to.
So it'll be like these, but it'll have augmented reality?
Yes.
So there'll be like
Yes,
you could
that's
have
a
like
good.
overlays because these don't I just see the real world out of these. Um, yeah, there's no AR or VR incorporated in them. So it sounds like that's like the next move.
Yes, a little bit thicker than what you have right now because there's obviously a lot more tech in there. But yes,
Yeah,
to be able to see those screens in sort of I'll call it a heads up display AR kind of view. Yeah, that's exactly right.
cool.
What would you say, Jen, over the past 12 months was the best TikTok trend that you either saw or maybe even participated in?
I loved too bad I don't have the person's name that did the, very mindful, very demure. Just everything about that to me was perfection. I just loved it. And I wish, it's pretty much gone now, but I'm not ready for it to go away. I just loved it. And then the takeoff content, the spinoff. There was a guy who went the opposite direction. He's like, and this is how I make my breakfast. Very flamboyant, very overstated, you know. And he was just hilarious. So anyway, love that. And then the other one is not so much a trend. It's just what I watch on TikTok because TikTok is where I go for my giggles, and I love watching people being scared, like where someone just jumps out of the closet or is laying on the floor and grabs the other person's leg or just whatever. I don't know. I find that hilarious. So, and of course, TikTok knows that I like it, so it continues to show me more of it. How about you?
Yeah. I put down the same one about being very mindful, very demure. And the reason I wrote it down is because that phrase impacted the way we speak so much that dictionary.com made it the word of the year. Demure was the word of the year for 2024. And, I can't imagine an environment where an app that's sort of niche in a certain respect, right? As some people are not on TikTok at all, but just the fact that it can influence language because of what somebody sat in their car and made a video for 30 seconds before they walked into work talking about their outfit and how they were presenting themselves. That I just love that concept overall.
Love
I
it.
also put down a audio clip that was from over the summer where a woman said, and she recorded it in a musical way that's better than what I'm going to do. But she said, I'm looking for a man in finance, trust fund, 6'5", blue eyes. And then people take that, remixed it. It became a song. They play it in clubs, different kinds of variations on the sound and remixing it. And I just love, again, that somebody can take a simple sentence or short audio clip and it can become just such a thing that influences a culture or a song of the summer or whatever. So those were the two that I had put down.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that sound, that song, whatever you're gonna call it. I love all the content that plays off of that.
Exactly. What would you say was the biggest social media fail of the year over the past 12 months?
Well, I don't really have to think about that because I will just quickly tell you X, all things X, everything about X. The ugh, the paid for verifications and the lack of oversight and and I did give it a chance. I was just a huge Twitter fan. I years ago had created Twitter courses. I just love Twitter and and so when Elon Musk bought it, I really was open to the changes he was going to make even when he was doing some stuff that really just did seem insane. I thought, well, let's just wait. It might be good. No, it's a complete and absolute fail, dumpster fire. I deleted my account and couldn't leave fast enough once I just saw how bad it was. And now I'm on Blue Sky, which I am enjoying, and it's close to TikTok, but yeah, really can't stand everything about X, and I hope it goes away.
I was actually thinking, I believe you and I initially got connected on Twitter. I want to say 2014, 2015, and I'm sure you connected with many other people who have become, either business partnerships or colleagues or friends over that time.
We
Would you say
absolutely met
that
on Twitter. Yep.
Yeah. Would you say that Threads has also been part of your transition experience away from Twitter and kind of how have you been using the new platforms, Blue Sky, Threads, to replace it?
Um, well, as far as my content consumption, I love that Blue Sky allows us to do like we did on Twitter, like with lists. So I
Mm.
like that, I don't have to follow, 8,000 people necessarily. I can just put them into lists and click into that list and have a curated feed of what I am interested in that moment. I really like that. Threads is sort of replicating that as well. But I would say on both Threads and Blue Sky, what I love is that right now there's really no advertising. They've announced that it's coming to Meta, to Threads if it's not already there, but I haven't really seen any ads. And I would just say I'm just equally spending my time over there listening. The best content that I've seen from people who have something to sell or have an agenda, or trying to tie it into their services or their products are, there's a guy that does he posts tips on he posts really helpful prompts and very specific use cases for ChatGPT, and they're always really good. Like, I find myself saving all of his posts. I think that if you're creating content like that, that people are saving like that because it's so helpful. I mean, it seems that's going to be, I mean, that was always the case, right? You want your content to be helpful, but there's not like a big graphic that goes along with it that says download my top 10 prompts. It's just literally like some text of how he's using it. And at the very last thread might say, if you found this helpful, sign up for my newsletter, something like that. But I'm really not marketing over there yet. Right now, I'm just listening and watching. And then when I do go into launch mode pretty soon, actually, I'm going to start looking at how I can use it without being obnoxious, because I just don't think it's going to be tolerated over there, to just slap up your marketing content the way we do it everywhere else.
Yeah, I definitely enjoy that ad-free experience on Threads. I've been spending more time over there as well. Occasionally, I'll just look on Twitter just to see is anything happening or any of my. But it seems like to me, almost all the people who I have followed and connected with over the years have transitioned completely away from the platform. So I personally have been spending a lot more time on Threads myself.
You need to join us, Daniel. You need to
On Blue
leave.
Sky,
Yeah, you need to leave the bad place and come to the good place. You need
there's
to.
one or two people who are still posting over there that I really like their content, and it's because they haven't transitioned. And I don't want to call them out on this podcast because I don't want to embarrass anybody, but there are still those one or two people who
Okay.
maybe I need to send them a message. For, for me, I put down two things that I saw as fails over the past 12 months. First, just the lack of data security here in this country. In
Hmm.
Europe, they have the GDPR, which are the data privacy protections that keep people safe online. Here, your data is bought and sold, and there's really nothing you can do. I've been part of the Equifax hack, the Change Health hack, and you just get letters in the mail that kind of let you know, hey, you should lock down your credit. And other than that, there's not much. And so that continues to be something that I think really needs to be addressed. And then recently, I've noticed how much time I'm spending actually posting to all the different platforms. If I make a video that's a short form clip, I post it to YouTube Shorts, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Threads, Twitter. It's a long list, and it takes me a while to do all that. And
Hmm.
so I'm looking for some sort of consolidation way to make that easier. I use Buffer for some of those. I use CapCut to post to some other ones. But just that whole process, I would really like to see streamlined. So, yeah, I
I
think
like
you have a
recur
tool, right?
post. Yeah, yeah. I like recur post for that. Um, their
That's
price
not what
point
I've
is
heard of
good.
before.
You have or have not?
No, I haven't. No.
Yeah, it's not one of the bigger companies. In fact, like, you could reach out to the man who owns it. He's so nice, and Dinesh is his name, and he he's super approachable. But it's legit. Like, it's a really good product, and I've been using it for years.
That sounds like a great podcast guest. I'm going to reach out to him.
He actually is a great podcast guest. I don't know if I've had him on the show, but I've definitely he's talked to my community before.
I love that. Okay. Let's talk about your current favorite social media account. So, who are you following on any platform that you're really enjoying right now?
I would say Allie K. Miller on Instagram, and it's Allie K. Miller. She's putting out stellar AI content. I mean, her content is about AI,
Right.
and she's just wicked smart, as they say in Massachusetts. She's the real deal. She's so good. I in fact have an alarm set for her posts so that I see them the minute that she posts. Um,
Wow.
and then who's the other one? The other one is just funny. Again, I go to TikTok to laugh, and um, it's Shop AIF, and this woman is hilarious. And I can't really explain what she's about. She just sort of does these little monologues, and she's funny. How about you?
I have been following Subway Takes, which is, if you haven't seen it, a account where they do interviews on the subway in New York City, and they hold up the little Metro card and they clip the microphone behind the Metro card. So it's kind of a unique take. And the way they do interviews, they started with sort of just random people asking them questions, getting their opinions on things, and now they've kind of moved up to famous people. And this is fascinating to me because I think about when I grew up and I saw people like David Letterman, Jay Leno, Conan O'Brien, and how this is completely transitioned away from you need a network like CBS or NBC to have a talk show. You could just have a talk show on the most noisy train ever, and that's completely fine. And people will watch it, and I'll watch it. So I've really enjoyed kind of watching this. Subway Takes is the name of the account. It even sort of reminds me of carpool karaoke in a way when famous people come
Yes.
on, like just much shorter. And that's kind of how we consume content today.
Thank you. I
So
just followed them. I can't wait to
yeah.
check that out.
There's one other one too that I want to mention on Threads, the Beyond Meat account. Beyond Meat is, I guess, vegan burgers. I personally don't eat that, but the person who's running the account is a social media person who's kind of under that guise of I'm going to say whatever I want because my boss thinks I'm doing a good job because I have followers and the account is growing. And so they say a lot of silly things about me and about social media marketing and just their approach to not getting fired. And it's absolutely hilarious. So I would say
Well,
Beyond Meat on Threads.
all right. Well, I am vegan, and I just followed them now too. So
Oh, I
thanks
didn't
for
know that.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll link to all these in the show notes. So if you didn't catch it, you can follow all these people in the show notes.
And another one popped to mind that's very irreverent, that just came out of nowhere, and it was the Nutter Butter cookies. Did you?
Yes.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh, that was just wild. And uh, that's all I'm going to say. Just link to Nutter Butter, and then our listeners can go and check it out if they haven't already.
I mean,
Just
give them a little context. Give them a little
It
of the
was just a
story.
very bizarre, like acid trip kind of like right, like content. It's just bizarre. Like what is happening? And so maybe you could even say it's like avant-garde. I don't know, but it was very strange, but really compelling. And then they ended up getting just, I don't know, surely over 1 million followers. They were the talk of the town. Everybody was talking about it in the advertising world and the marketing world. Like, what is going on with this account? But what I think is so brilliant is that, and you can't say this about every successful campaign like that, but when when I started watching it, I swear to you, I started craving a Nutter Butter, which I have not had since I was like a little kid. I didn't even know those cookies were even still around, but I had to have one. I was like, and we did. We bought a pack of these, and actually, I don't even know if they're vegan, but we did buy a pack of them, and just fascinating.
What I love about that is, you could have spent however much it costs to get a Super Bowl ad, and maybe people wouldn't even talk about. But compared to the amount of money that they spent to make that TikTok and how much it blew up, right? I'm sure it was increased sales. I'm sure it had a huge effect. And that kind of reminds me of the power of social media when compared to the old way. And that Nutter Butter, I want to say that was over the summer, right? That
Yeah.
sort of blew up. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
It's crazy. Yeah.
So what would you say, Jen, for 2025 are your predictions for social media?
Um, I mean, looking what's happening with everybody fleeing X, and uh for me it also feels like Facebook is less active than it was. I mean, just from my own place in the world where I sit, I think people want more of their feed to be organic, like what they want to see, as opposed to um you know the old. I think they want more community. I think they want more stuff like
Mhm.
Blue Sky. So I think we're going to see that. But honestly, I've just been so focused on AI that it's hard. AI can't affect all things the way it is and not also affect what it is we're going to end up doing on social media. Not just from a content perspective, but just from a behavior perspective, like how the algorithm reacts, what we're shown, how we participate. This is a terrible answer because I'm all over the place because I can't say like you have a better answer. Let's hear your answer.
So I think burnout is something we're going to talk about a lot more in 2025. I think to a certain extent, there's a pressure to just be on every single platform as much as you can, 24 hours a day. And if you have a podcast, people say, oh, and do you have a YouTube channel? And, to a certain point, you realize, okay, I can't do everything. And you might either decide to hire a team or keep doing it like by yourself, like me, which is not the right move long term. But that burnout, we're going to acknowledge, okay, we're creating content for free. What is that actually getting us? And is that worth it? So I think that's part of the conversation in 2025. And I think if TikTok does go away, which, unclear at this point, it's definitely seeming like it's going to, I think YouTube Shorts is going to be the place where people start to spend a lot more time in comparison to pick up that slack from TikTok. That's my prediction on it.
Yeah, I like your answer way better than mine. I think that's right. I think that's spot on.
No, but I think AI, like you said, will infiltrate more of our social media because how much of the time that I mentioned is taking me to make all this content and post it everywhere and do all these things could be done by AI. Like, could AI automatically scan my podcast every time I post a new episode, pull out all the relevant links and make it into an email newsletter for me or make it into a caption for my next post? Like, that would actually help me out a lot. So I think AI is definitely going to be part of what happens in social.
Well, I think I know. I mean, it's just 100%. It definitely will be. And the more people start to understand that we don't have to be super techie to use AI, that this is all about natural conversation. That's why what makes it so amazing is that like everybody's content is going to be in some way influenced by AI, but in terms of the actual platforms and like how we use them, how we prioritize them, that is the part where I really can't even imagine it. Mark Schaefer wrote a book years ago called Content Shock. And his premise was basically like, we are going to reach a point of just like explosion or implosion, right? Like that we can't take this amount of content, that it's just, we're going to reach some sort of tipping point. And I'm wondering if, because, all right, so yeah, AI influences all of our content creation, um, making it easier for us to create infinitely more content with a click of a button that we ever could. We could take one podcast and from that spin off 20 pieces of long form content with AI, right? So then if ever there was going to be content shock or implosion, I would think the time is now, And so I don't know, but I can't imagine what that exactly looks like. But, to your point, burnout is a good word, right? Because it's going to be burnout from all of it, creating it, consuming it. I don't know, but
Mm,
we'll have
mm.
this conversation again at the end of next year and see where we are. It'll be fun to actually play this, and then we're gonna
Oh,
have to make it a tradition, right?
I didn't even think of that. That's a fantastic idea. Here's what we said, and here's what actually happened. I like that. That's a
Yeah.
great idea.
All right.
Okay. So, last one. What would you say for your predictions for tech in 2025? Hardware, software, AI. What would you say?
Um, Agentic AI. I think it's all about agentic AI, where right now AI is like it can do lots of automations, but the agents are going to be able to, we give it a goal, then it takes the goal and then it has to map a path to get to the goal, and then it actually does the thing. And I think that's going to happen a lot. And then wearables, I think, are going to continue to be a thing. From my glasses, I also ordered this thing called Applaud, not Applaud. It's Plaude. I'm not going to give a plug for it because I think they're a terrible company, because I want to send it back. I had it, like, I opened it up and I immediately realized, like, I'm not going to use this literally 5 minutes later. And I noticed they had a subscription fee. I'm like, no, I thought it was like $150 and I was in and out. No. So they have their policy is 30-day money back guarantee for whatever reason. Oh, no, 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 no. They're giving me such a runaround. It's like, it's driving
Oh,
me nuts. Oh, it's making me so mad. But my point is, this is a thing you could put on your wrist or wear around your neck. And the idea is that you can sort of document every single aspect of your day and your life. It's a recorder that transcribes. Well, our
hmm.
phone, my Apple phone, I know you have an Android, but I don't know why, but my iPhone But my iPhone can now, and everybody's iPhone can now, in voice notes, it automatically transcribes your voice notes.
Mm.
So I don't need this thing. And but the fact that they made this thing and people are wearing them, and then our health. I've got my Diva ring on that monitors
Oh,
every single thing of my in my body. I think that's going to continue to be a big thing in the market. How about you?
yeah. I was actually thinking a lot about the AI connections to other things, similar to what you said, and reaching that point where it can accomplish goals, much like a virtual assistant or an actual assistant. If you had one, you can say, find me a vacation and book the flight and book the hotel and send it to my phone so I can just approve it or whatever. And even the smart speakers that we've all got in our house that can kind of answer a basic question, but can't actually do very much apart from turn on the music, turn on the lights for that LLM, whatever AI to actually be able to do those tasks like book a flight, buy a gift for your spouse, whatever. That's something I'm really hoping finally happens in 2025, just to be able to take these technologies and just put them all together, whether it's APIs or whatever technology on the back end needs to make that happen. But that's something I'm really looking forward to seeing in 2025.
Yeah, and to all your examples, I mean, I think it'll be like this. It'll be like, didn't you just have an anniversary, like your 10-year
I
anniversary?
did. I did. It's actually, it's 19 years. I reached a point where I felt like that makes us sound old. So I started counting backward in the caption every year. And my friends keep sending me messages like, why is the number going down? And I'm like, don't worry about it. I'm sorry if I'm distracting. Please continue.
That is very funny. Okay, well, happy anniversary. Happy
Oh,
19th
thank
year.
you.
Next year, so
Thank you.
let's hear next year, Agentic AI will totally be around, and you're gonna say, "Hey, book a trip to London. Um, and we want to stay in a five-star hotel, and it's our 20th anniversary. So I want to have I also need to get my wife a gift. So if you could have delivered over to the hotel a bobblehead of Yoda wearing, and I'm just trying to think of like stuff I've seen you post in the past, but
Yeah. Yeah.
and a chocolate cake with this written on it,
Yeah.
and that kind of thing. And then like the things it will happen. It will
Right.
do the things for you. And so it's exciting to think about.
Yeah, but how much time does that give you back in your day, right? To be able to do other tasks or focus on your job or exercise or whatever. That's super exciting to me to be able to offload all that work.
Absolutely. The key is not replacing it with more of the same.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? Because
Yeah.
that can happen.
Yeah. Jen, this has been an awesome conversation. Thank you so much for doing this with me. Can you please tell us where we can find you online and follow your journey?
Yeah, the best place to find me is to connect with me over on Instagram, at Jen, Jen underscore Lehner. How about you?
Awesome. The best place to find me is on Instagram at Daniel Hill Media. And if you do not listen to Jen's flash briefing, look for the Front Row Entrepreneur wherever you find your audio updates, whether you listen through podcast or smart speaker. Absolutely recommend Jen's updates. They're super fascinating and great to get caught up very quickly.
Thank you. And we got to shout out your flash briefing, the Instagram stories.
Yes,
It's
you
with
can
the S,
find that.
right?
Yeah, exactly. You can find that on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your audio.
Awesome.
Jen, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you, Daniel. Happy New Year.
Okay, that's it for my interview with Jen. Hopefully, you found that fun and enjoyable. I definitely recommend going and checking out Jen's Front Row Entrepreneur Flash Briefing, which you can find on your Amazon Echo devices, Google Assistant. You can also find it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get audio content. It is very short, bite sized social media news, just a couple of minutes. She gives you the headlines, everything you need to know, and why it's important. I definitely recommend Jen's show. If you want more social media content, you can also check out my show, The Instagram Stories, wherever you get podcasts, Apple Music, or Apple Podcasts, I should say, Spotify, Google Assistant, Amazon Echo devices, basically everywhere. And also, please follow me on Instagram at Daniel Hill Media. If you could send me a DM, I would love to chat with you, hear what you liked about the show, any recommendations you have, what you're looking forward to in 2025. That would be fantastic. The best way to show that you appreciate the show is to go on Apple Podcasts and leave a review. I will link to how to do that in the show notes so you can get there directly. But leaving a review doesn't cost you anything. It just takes a minute or two, and it really helps other people to find the show. That is the absolute best way that you can support the show. Thank you so much for listening, and be sure to come back next time.
Let me tell you a couple things that you should know about me. A product manager, but do not have a bachelor's degree. But actually that's factually a fraction of me. Another fraction's posting content irregular and irrationally. Still probably won't get a job at the Gram. They forgot, they don't know, or don't care who I am. That's why you never see me at the parties and events. My lack of followers must make me irrelevant. Don't have a course, a book to sell to make a bag of grand. Not a social media marketer, don't represent any brands. Plain to see, don't have an agency, but I got a lot of spam. Just putting in my work, without the glitz and glam. Won't catch me eating fish, unless it's shrimp or clam. No six pack, no risk that, there's a gym card in my hand. Don't have a full-time job, but I got a lot of plans. Stay plotting, dropping knowledge on TikTok and Instagram.